So hello everyone and welcome back to day 2 of the online test conf 10th edition. Uh, and let's first of all make sure that Anna is here. Anna, can you hear us? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I am here on day 1.
Yes, day 1, Anna's here. And you can also share your screen if you want and share your camera. And in the meantime, I'll just go, oh, you shared something, but you were not there. That was strange. I want to introduce Anna for there you are. I want to introduce Anna for a second. We've known each other for I guess a couple of years already. Anna is the director of quality assurance at ORSS, and one of the cool things about her, or interesting things about her, is that not only once but twice she has been called upon to be the first team lead and basically build a testing team from scratch. And we actually talked about that in the past. And I guess that you're going to be talking about that today, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So just to remind everyone, questions, the best option is either on the Slack channel or using the Q&A. Try not to use the chat for that. It gets a little bit cumbersome. And Anna, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much. So first I wanted to say that I'm looking at the Slack, the online test conference Slack channel, the Me at OTC, and there are 3,999 people. I need one more person to go over there and join that Slack channel so I can see 4,000 people in there. So
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I was watching the number go up. So let me share my screen. Let's see.
By the way, we are at 4,000 at this point. You made it! Woo!
Exciting! That's awesome.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. Do you want to continue? Yes. And here we go. Here. Present. So hopefully everyone can see my screen.
Assuming everyone can see what I'm seeing, then we can see your screen and the floor is yours.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna put that up there like that. So thank you so much, Joel. I am so excited to be here at the online test conference. This is very exciting to me. And the topic that I've chosen that you've come here to listen to is how to create a quality assurance department. Now, creating this department could be, you could be coming to this place from many different avenues. You could have been hired in as the first QA analyst lead to a company that already exists and they need to get QA up and running and you're the person to do that. So where are you going to start? Or you could be currently working for a company and there's no formal QA, but you've been identified as that person to lead that department. And so you are not sure where to start. So hopefully I will impart a few nuggets of knowledge to you that will help you along the way. And of course, please, questions, ask your questions, any information would be great. So let's see. So what are we going to do today? I'm going to introduce myself a little bit, give you a little brief history of who I am. We're going to talk about our topic. Again, ask me anything in the Q&A. And then feedback is always welcome. If you want to go over to the Slack after the session or during and find my channel and give me some feedback or just talk, that'd be great. So who am I? So my name is Anna Ondrish, and personally, I am a wife, a mother, a stepmother, and a yaya, which is grandmother in Greek. So I just put some pictures on here of my family because they really are the most important thing to me. There's a picture of myself and my husband, my son and his wife, my stepchildren and my grandbaby, a picture of a mug of coffee and the beach, which are two of the most wonderful things ever. And when you combine them together, they're even better. Down at the bottom corner is a picture of my, where I currently work at ORSS. And there's a picture of Nick, who is the owner of ORSS and a business analyst and a developer. We were doing some kind of a photo shoot. And so really like that picture because it really does represent, you know, working together as a team in software development. So Tell you a little bit about my work history. I've been working since 1998, and I know that is a very long time, and half of you probably weren't even born then. But I started out in the customer service area, and I did very well. But where I worked at Legal in General, there was a IT department downstairs, and an opening came available, and my manager thought that I would be qualified to work in IT, in quality assurance, which I knew nothing about it. But I decided to give it a shot, and I was hired down there, and I went and worked in quality assurance. I was the lead QA analyst for the Y2K project, which I'm sure most of you have read in your textbooks in school about that. And the world was supposed to end as we turned the time into 2000, but as you can see, it did not end. Here we are, still alive. From there, I went to Thomson Financial, had a great career. Then I went to Payment Vision, which is really AutoScribe. And I wanted to highlight that because that was my first experience as the first QA analyst being brought on to a company. And so I was brought in, and we had a enterprise system that we were building from the ground up. And so I built out a team, a QA team, an automation team, an onshore, offshore team. And when I left there, I was managing not only the QA department, but also the client services department. Then went on to Thomson Reuters, then took a turn in 2014 and did some government contracting, did research and development, and I also managed a verification and validation team working on ballistic missiles. That was quite a treat of paperwork and testing in a much different way. But then life happened, and in 2019, I came back to the private industry, and I'm currently working at Orsys as the Director of Quality Assurance. I live in the States. I live in the state of Maryland, in a city called Frederick. And if you want to connect with me, LinkedIn is a great way. You can search for me and just send me a connect request. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get to know people, spend time with them. So, of course, you want to hear a joke. I am sure of that. So it's joke time. This is my all-time favorite. And so, how many software testers does it take to change a light bulb? Anybody know? How many testers does it take to change a light bulb? I know, you all know this answer. So, none. We don't change light bulbs. We don't change them. We don't fix things. What do? We can tell you the room is dark. We could tell you that there's no light source. And we could tell you there's no electricity coming into the room. And I'm sure we could tell you a few other things. If you guys want to put it down in the chat or in the Slack channel, tell me what other things we could tell you, but we're not changing that light bulb. So this is my all-time favorite joke. Please use it. You don't have to even give me credit for it. I didn't make it up. I got it from somebody else, and I think it's really funny. So what are we going to be covering today? There's so many things to start in the quality assurance department. There's so many ways we can go. So I just picked 4. When I came to Orsys, I was the first QA analyst that they had brought on. And I had to decide, what was I going to do? How was I going to implement things? And so these were the 4 things that came out of working at AutoScribe and also working at Orsys that I felt were important and minimal things to consider when starting a QA department. So we're going to talk about implementing a test case management tool, hiring contractors, full-time employees or both, equipping the team to work independently, some strategies on that, and then best practices. We do want to write down some things. So the first thing is, do I need a test case management tool? Do I need a tool? All right, Joel, cover your ears because the answer is no, you do not need a test case management tool. But with a big BUT, I will explain to you that it is a very good idea to have a test case management tool. It makes life a lot easier. So I listed here the top 5 best of 2020, and I didn't put credit on this slide, but I got this information from guru99.com. And when I worked at AutoScribe, when I came on board there, we did not ever, the whole time I was there, implement a test case management tool. We used Word documents and Excel, and they worked okay. I was able to put in practices around writing and how we wrote them and what we wrote and keep it organized, but it was a lot of overhead, manual overhead that I had to do. And it was very time consuming and cumbersome. So when I came to Orasys, one of the first things when I came on board was I knew I wanted a test case management tool. I needed organization. I did not want to repeat what I had done before. I wanted to do things more organized. So what I did when I came to Orasys, I was presented with, probably about double digits of new projects that were already in the works, and then also some support projects that also needed to be worked on. And I needed a way to manage the test cases, to be able to report on the test cases. And so what I did was, one of the first things was to look for a test case management tool. So I went online and I Googled, the best ones. I found a couple that are on this top 5. I got trial tutorials and trial runs on the tools. I worked through them. I tried to get help from the companies to understand them. I went on YouTube and looked at videos. And I am very happy to say that at Orasys, we picked one of these 5, and we picked PractiTest. So I think I have a shirt, my shirt is actually, we're sponsored by PractiTest. So that's the tool that we picked for our test case management tool. It's a great tool. If anybody wants to talk about it offline from here, please connect with me, ping me. I would love to talk to you about it and tell you how we use it and how it can benefit your organization. One of the things that sold me on PractiTest above the other test case tools that we had looked into was the customer service. Hands down, the customer service. Before we even purchased the licenses, the help that I got to understand the product and how it could work best for Orasys was unbelievable. I was able to get demos. I was able to get questions answered quickly. And then even after we had purchased the licenses and I was trying to implement for at least one of the projects that we had, I was able to call on their customer service team and to ask for training sessions. I even had one training session where I came with a list of, this is how I want to use it. Help me understand how to make that work. And they were willing to help me walk through the whole thing and then even follow up and ask me how things were going. So I highly recommend having a test case management tool for keep yourselves organized. Now, one thing that we do at Orasys that could help you in your organizations is we use a Google Sheet prior to when we're writing our test cases. And the reason we do that is because we don't want, sometimes the team members don't always want to go into the test case management tool to review test cases that have been written. So in order to collaborate quicker or easier, we have found that using a Google Sheet is the best approach. And we ask our questions, the BAs ask questions, we get more of an understanding, development knows what's going on. And then we use the PractiTest import template feature to import the test cases into the tool, and then we execute from there. And then each one of the different projects that's going on can enter in the information, run the tests, and then I can run reports that then can show the teams how we're doing with testing. So I would love to hear your feedback about test case management tools that you've used, and what you think about it. So the next area is, do you hire contractors, full-time employees, or both? What is the best thing to do? When I was hired at AutoScribe, again, I was the first QA analyst. So I came on board, and after a bit of time, I hired a full-time employee. Then I hired another full-time employee. And then from there, we hired contractors. Some were offshore, some were onshore, and we had a mixture of both. Here at Orsys, we've taken the approach where I was the first QA analyst to come in, and then from there, we hired contractors to meet the needs of all the different projects. Now, again, they're two different companies, two different software applications that we're working on. But really, what is the best approach? And this is really a tough one to try to answer, but I'm just going to walk you through some of the pros and cons. These are pros and cons that I've come up with that I think. So contractors, the number one pro is that you can hire for a specialty skill. If you need an API tester, you can hire an API tester, and you only use them for the project that needs that specialty at that time. Any type of specialty skill, it's you can very quickly ramp up that skill set for that project. They're only billed for the hours that they're actually working on the project. They can cost less than a full-time employee because there's no overhead. You're not paying for benefits. You're not paying for, a place for them to sit in an office. And then they typically have, more flexible work hours. But some of the cons that you really need to think about are, is there a real commitment to your specific company? Because if you hire a contractor and you can't, at least give them 30 hours a week, they're going to have other clients. And then it's going to be harder for scheduling of meetings because you're going to be competing with other client needs that the contractor has. So those are just some areas of things that you should really think about when you're going to decide if you're going to do only contractors or only full-time employees. So for full-time employees, there's also pros and cons. That's not the easiest way to go. There's pros. The company should be the priority, the company that you work for. We can set company-specific goals for the full-time employee. There's more of a commitment. It's okay if they don't have a full 8 hours worth of work to do on a project because we can give them other tasks to do. We can give them, to do documentation or research. But some of the cons on a full-time employee is, they're more expensive because you are paying for that overhead. You have benefits. You have other things that go into their pay, not just their hourly rate. If you need a specialty skill, you might not have it in-house, but, then they might not even be willing to learn that skill because they might not want to learn that skill. And sometimes full-time employees can have the mindset of being confined to a 9-to-5 typical work day, and they don't want to go outside of that, and it could become difficult. So that's some pros and cons for a full-time employee. So if you would want to go the route of both, well, then you could see that you could quickly get the skills that you need, right? You get the contractor specialty skills that you might not have with your full-time employees. You can ramp up testing a lot quicker, and you can set up a more stable workforce when you have a mix of both contractors and full-time employees. So I see that questions are coming in, Joel. I don't know if you want me to take those now or if you want me to wait till the end.
Whatever works for you. If you want to make a stop right now and it works on your tempo, it's really up to you. I will save them for the end, but if you want to start, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I can. You want me to, let me look at them. So let's see.
I can moderate if you want. Again, your call.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no worries. So I was looking at the first one. It's a little bit specific. Maybe you want to take it on Slack, trying to compare the tools that you were evaluating with Azure DevOps, if you want. Not sure if you know the tool so much. But I think that the second one is a little bit more interesting. And what's your point on that? You were mentioning that you work on the spreadsheet and then you import. And Osama Rifat was actually saying, hey, it can be the other way around, like writing the test cases and then exporting for review. And she was asking if you use also the test management tool for automation. And again, I don't want to go too much into that. Obviously, I'm biased, but you can answer that if you want.
Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, you're right that we could enter all the test cases into the test case management tool and then export a report and then, have that go out to the team. We did not choose to go that route. We chose to go the route of writing and then importing. But yes, if you wanted to go the route of entering into the tool and then exporting the test cases. Now, again, when you export them, and I haven't tried this, but maybe that's something that I need to look into, and I'm not opposed to doing that, is to write some test cases into the tool, export them, open them up in a Google Sheet so that the ability to write comments and to collaborate with your team can be done, because that's really the purpose of doing the spreadsheet prior to importing them into the test case management tool. But yeah, I never did think of just doing it the other way around. I just started it one way and then that's the way I did it, but I'm always open to thinking of a new way. And I also want to preface this by saying that I am sure that I do not use the test case management tool that I picked to its fullest potential. I'm sure I am not. And that is an area where I'm lacking, and that's due to time constraints. So definitely, if you use PractiTest and you have options for me, definitely send me some information, and hopefully I'll be able to get, better versed in how to use it optimally.
Yeah, and there is a follow-up in here by Sam on the question. She said that she was asking because more companies are moving towards CI/CD and unit test automation, and how does that collaborate with the test management tools and the understanding that, again, between 50 and 90% of the tests can be automated. And
yeah,
again, speaking from the vendor's point of view, I know that we do that's actually a very big point of what we do right now, integrating between them. But it is a big thing that you need to take into account. But again, I don't want to take from the presentation. Remember that the clock is ticking. But do you want to take one more question, or do you want to move forward?
Yeah, no, I'll just comment on this and we can move forward, because yeah, automation is a big thing. And I do know that PractiTest has the automation capabilities and functionality. I have not used it yet. We do not use it at Orsys. I do believe that automation, so you saw it's not one of my top 4 once you walk in the door, but I think that it should be. I think that it should be in your mind, and it should be very close to the beginnings of creating a quality assurance department, because automation should not be separate from software testing. It should be part of software testing, because I personally think, and I've read it in books as well, that, in a sprint life cycle, there's development that's happening, then there's got to be manual testing in order to verify that the code is bug-free and repeatable. And then automation should be like right on its heels of automating what is repeatable and what is functioning properly. And so automation should be right there at the beginning of within the sprint cycle in every project. We currently do not do that, but I do highly recommend that you have that in your mindset. So the next topic that I wanted to talk about is equipping the team members to work independently. And this is really important because as you are in the role of a QA lead or a manager, and you're bringing on new people to work on projects or the flagship project of your company, they're going to be working on different pieces of functionality, and they're going to be working independently with different teams within the organization. You cannot have your hands in everything, and you shouldn't want to have your hands in everything. One thing that I tried to do was to implement 2 different types of meetings because your testers are already in a lot of meetings. You don't want more meetings. So what I did was I have a team meeting where I bring everybody together every other week for 1 hour. And during that time, I try to either come up with a question that I put in our Slack channel to get them thinking about ways of improving, the way that we do testing, how to improve certain challenges that have come up in certain projects. And so when the team comes together, we try to listen and we try to give each and every person an opportunity to speak about their thought process based on the different projects that they're on, because here at Orsys, we work on custom software. So each tester is on a different project. It's not like we're working on one project or one product that is going out the door. So we spend that time, like I said, trying to help each other to make improvements. And then on the off weeks, there's a 30-minute meeting that's just a one-on-one with each one of the testers, where we talk about their individual contribution, how they're doing on their project. And we do try to discuss individual goals and then ways of improving their work experience and how can I help them. I always want to be available to help them. I always want to be available to answer questions. And these 2 types of meetings are not the only time that I'm available. I guess you can say, I don't know what the new terminology is, but now in this virtual world, I still have an open door policy where they can ping me anytime, and I try to respond very quickly to meet their needs to help them on whatever they're working on. So communication is key. Communication is key, especially now where we're in this remote virtual world. Having open communication, listening to your employees, listening to what they have to say, engaging with them, having dialogue is so very important to making progress within your company and within your team. Very much highly recommend that. And then the last area that I think is very important when starting a QA department is documentation. Now, please do not get me wrong. If you see that picture with all that documentation, I can tell you right now, I don't ever want to see that much documentation. I don't want to see it digitally, and I don't want to see it ever printed out like that. I know we have a big group here today, and I'm not sure if any of you remember, but I do remember that in the late 90s, early 2000s, and definitely in my government contracting time, we did write that much documentation. It was needed. We had to have it, only never to look at it again. So please do not write that much documentation, but some things do need to be written down. I think that some of the best practices are writing a test plan, we have, like I said, many projects, many clients. So we write a test plan for each and every client so that each and every tester can have a test plan to go to see the overview of the project, where they're going to put their time, where they're going to enter their defects, where they're going to write their test cases, where's the documentation kept, there's links to everything. And then writing how you're going to use your test case management tool. You want everybody to use it the same. You want everybody to, import or write all of their test cases in the test library. You want them to organize them a certain way. You want them to execute a certain way. And these best practices are for, it's kind of like it's the best way to do it, but it's not the only way to do it. So I always tell my team, don't get stuck on what we wrote or what we agreed on. If there's a better way or a different way, then yeah, let's talk about it, because these are living and breathing documents that need to be kept up to date. We don't want to just write something and for the next 10 years, we're going to be using that one document, and we're going to miss out on so many opportunities to evolve and to get better and to progress. And best practices don't have to be documents. They can be workflow diagrams. For our defect tracking tool, we have a workflow diagram of a bug and a question and the flow that it goes through all the way till it's at the end. Anything that's repeatable that will mitigate confusion is what you need to write down. And it doesn't have to be lengthy. It doesn't even have to be pretty, but it needs to be in a place where everybody can get to it and everybody can use the information. But again, it's very important to keep dialogue, to keep people communicating. So we've covered quite a bit here, the 4 areas that I think are important to creating a quality assurance department. But again, it's not the end all. But I thank you for allowing me to come here and to speak and to impart a little bit of knowledge that I have. And I hope that someone walks away with something that's going to benefit them.